Welcome everyone to Saturday Night Hype, and we've got ourselves a big one-on-one match between Ermac and Reptile. Ermac of Cold Rain and Souls, and Reptile of the Greasy Green Gigolos. I am, of course, the Sentinel, here to provide you all of the action breakdown as we march on towards Asylum, September 28th and September 29th. Every championship on the line, personal grudges settled, hopefully, but you never know in these parts, in these times, especially with Abizzle in charge. Here comes Ermac. Now, this match began and was preceded by Reptile registering some level of consternation or issue with Ermac selling out his souls to Sub-Zero and Rain and their shenanigans and their coming in and being dicks to everybody. And he asked, "What about your children?" Ermac said, "Don't talk about my kids." And now we're having this match. Now, I was told, and I don't believe, but I was told that Ermac has also requested from his compatriots Sub-Zero and Rain not to interfere in this match, because when you talk about a man's kids, it's personal. I don't believe that for a second, given the way that this team has shown up big time for each other in moments that they've needed it. And most of the time, either against the rules or just in a way that just makes you have a bad taste in your mouth. And Ermac has no problem putting tastes in people's mouths. That's why he has kids. Oh, man. And as terrible as I feel for saying that, it is the truth. Ermac told me so when I interviewed him before this matchup, and that was all he said to me. He didn't say anything about Reptile. But Reptile here, he's been having a good time, and he has been riding a crazy wave of momentum. Having won the Rebels and Redcoats tournament, he and Piccolo have a tag team title match at any time of their choosing. Then Reptile goes wire to wire in the Fatal Attrition match at No Man's Land back in June and wins the matchup, finally pinning Neo after a crazy REPTILE. And that was a time to be had. And folks, that is all still on the channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, not only just to see everything that we have, but also to save a referee. They get hit a lot in these parts, and I'm sure they will be hit in the coming weeks and months, as we cannot control everything that these people do in the ring, and especially when it's ninjas like this, where they really tend to be fairly ruthless to each other. And referee Will Sasso assigned to this contest. He's going to really have to keep a sharp eye out for both these guys. Here we go. And a collar tie-up to start the matchup from Reptile, who is really in a nice double chops here. And I don't really know what Ermac wanted to gain from this other than, we're going to fight because you mentioned my kids. And Reptile said, you know what, maybe I'll smack some sense into you. But the way that Ermac has been lately, I really don't think that it's going to take, even if Reptile wins this match, and now just the ninja special, wrenching that leg into the back and pulling the arms back. Just attacking the ribs and the latissimus dorsi, which is the back muscles. And now just a nice leg wrench as Reptile is starting this matchup rather technically and trying not to get into a scrap fest with the man of many souls, as Rain and Sub-Zero will look on in the back, I'm sure. And we don't have the camera shot of their bodies facing the camera and their eyes and heads twisting to the right in an awkward position to look at a television monitor. We're not there yet, and we don't intend to be, but a nice backbreaker from Reptile, who is all in on this matchup, and a rope break. And of course, here's Rain, and I knew that they wouldn't be able to help themselves. And now it's 1-on-2. And Reptile, it said the same to Piccolo. It's some sort of unspoken ninja rule that they have, that if it's a battle between ninjas, they keep it to within ninjas. And I guess that is something of a loophole when Rain and Sub-Zero are both, in fact, ninjas. Now we have Rain just prowling around the outside. And, oh, what a slingshot drop kick. Beautifully done by Reptile, who's now just laying the boots to Ermac in the corner. And Ermac's Rain's partner, Piccolo, having a one-on-one match with Pepsi Zero at Autumn Asylum. Of course, we have the pre-show next week with women's tag team action and the Soul Calibur Gauntlet between the Forgotten Fighters and Ken Masters, Johnny Cage, and after that spinning wheel kick, impressively done, and Simon Belmont. So stay tuned next week for that. That is going to be quite a matchup. And a big belly-to-belly slam from Ermac, trying to get a little momentum back into this matchup. And a shot to the gut there from Reptile. These two, so familiar with each other, have spent decades, eons fighting each other. And here in CIW, this is their first matchup in CIW, as a matter of fact. I believe one-on-one at least. And a big drop kick from Reptile, who has mostly handled Ermac here. But now on the outside, of course, Abizzle's rules, or the rules that used to be Corleone's rules. If you're outside, then any cornermen can come in and get in on the action anytime they choose. Rain showing a surprising amount of restraint. Not sure where he went. Maybe he just left. Maybe he just intimidated. Oh, nice hip toss there from Ermac. The Reptile has to be looking over his shoulder at all times, anytime they're outside of the ring. And now an Ermac crab. And too close to the roast, but that's not going to stop Ermac from exploiting the count. Has up to 5 or he'll be disqualified. And only took up to 4. And see, this is what I'm talking about with these guys. But, you know, you can understand Ermac saying, don't talk about my kids, but at the same time, you know, how can you not be disappointed with the way Ermac stood for so many right things, and he was a model for those children, and now he's taking the easy way out. He's taking low blows, message sent. He's doing that, and his kids are learning from that. And now having a bit of a conversation with Rain, maybe strategizing, as Reptile has proven himself to be a formidable opponent here for Ermac. Now Reptile going and trying to meet Rain head on, and a big hip toss, not allowing it to happen today, and now wrenching the head. Down goes Reptile. As these ninjas have this unspoken code, and oh god, out of nowhere! Oh my god! Rain with a big boot that knocked Reptile square into the corner. And I don't know how Reptile is standing and let alone focused on fighting Ermac at this juncture, but somehow Reptile has regained his composure with a standing sidekick. And this is the kind of exhilarating action CIW brings each and every week, all the way leading up to our big 2-day event on September the 28th and 29th. The big match between, also the clean up your, and a cocky pin from Reptile. And Reptile not afraid to be a little brazen, and he has the right to be lately. He definitely has the right to be lately, but not enough to get Ermac down on that exchange. And now just knees into the corner. As Reptile came to fight here and knows that he's got a reputation to maintain somewhat. Now that he has gained some real momentum here in CIW alongside Piccolo. The Greasy Green Gigolos have easily the most going for them. And wait a second. Oh, the acid bath! The acid bath to Rain! That might have blinded him. And now Reptile urging Ermac to come in. Ermac not looking too good, hurting the ribs. Referee Will Sasso thankfully staying out of this. Big backbreaker there from Reptile. Not intimidated at all by Rain and Souls. And you have to admire the tenacity. I mean, to be fair, he went through absolute hell for a solid hour against the entirety of the Shades of Black. Of course, Neo versus Riddick. More of that story to be told at Autumn Asylum on day 2. As a matter of fact, they're going to be in that match. But Reptile survived throughout all of that. Another slingshot drop kick into the corner. And now, oh god, just stomps into the corner. Reptile came to fight and knows that he has to stay on top of Ermac and stay inside the ring if he wants to keep that advantage. Oh, wait a second. We've seen this before. We've seen this before. I love it. There's R-E-P-T-I-L-E. And he got him. Oh, you gotta love that. As Ermac, that might do it here. 1, 2, 3. Making sure everybody is reminded that he is here not only to get the victory, but to have a good time as well in the spirit of the Gigolos. And he turns the Gigolos record around as Ganondorf and the Riddler lost last week. Reptile evens it. Can Piccolo beat Pepsi Zero at Autumn Asylum? We'll see in a couple weeks' time. But folks, thank you all for coming to Saturday Night Hype, and we will see you next week for the pre-show Soul Calibur Gauntlet. Stay tuned for that. Your winner tonight, Reptile. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you next time.